So I got caught up on my email and I'm just getting ready to edit Viewers Knives. Viewers Knives is exported. Now I need to upload it to the YouTube. Boom. Upload video. Select files. Viewers Knives right there. We'll get that uploaded. And sometime between 11 and noon, that video will be going live. I get a lot of questions. A lot of people are asking, hey, where can I send my knives to be featured on Viewers Knives? And here's a little secret. I mean, it's super top secret. Don't tell anybody else. But the place where you send your knives to, the email address, it's in every single episode of Viewers Knives. Huh? Also in this edition of Viewers Knives, one of the emails that came with the pictures, a gentleman was asking about O-1 tool steel and how forgiving it is to heat treat. In a previous video, I had talked about, different places where you can buy materials from, knife making materials, the steel. One of the companies that I had recommended, I was actually looking on their site later on. I've never actually purchased anything from them, but I was looking at their O-1 tool steel to see what they have. And I came across this article, and it was interesting because they said that, so many people that buy O-1 tool steel are beginning knife makers, and the reason they want that steel is because they've seen it recommended on YouTube. They go on to say that it's a terrible steel for beginners. What's more, they even go on to say that if these people on YouTube are so wrong about this, what other things are they telling you lies about? I actually edited the video while I was on YouTube, so I took out the part where I said their name. I removed a link to their website because, quite frankly, if you're gonna be snarky and rude, there's no room for that with this community of makers. I'm not saying everything that people share on YouTube is right. I've shared mistakes, I've seen people share mistakes, but we're genuinely just trying to spread information. We're trying to help each other out. And the reason that I say that O-1 tool steel is actually an excellent steel for a beginning knife maker is because it is relatively easy to heat treat. And the reason I say that is because I've done it from experience. When I was first starting my millwright apprenticeship, we had to make our own metal lathe cutting tools. And we had to do that with O-1 tool steel. It's not so common anymore, but it used to be back in the day. Every machine shop would keep stock of O-1 tool steel. Because if you needed a really special cutting tool, it was relatively easy enough to cut your own, heat treat it. I mean, now you can just buy like HSS steels and different blocks and you keep it really, really cool and you don't even have to heat treat it. You can make cutting tools that way. It was 20 years ago when I did my apprenticeship and we had to heat treat our own O-1 tool steel. So that's how long I've been using it for. Now I haven't been using it that long for knives. I've probably been using it for knives for about, I would say 7 years. And the very first knives I did were O-1 tool steel. And it works. Even very rudimentary ways of heating it up. If you can get it hot enough I'm saying you might not get by with just a single blowtorch if you've got a big blade. But if you can get it hot enough, and if you've got a decent oil, you can quench O-1 tool steel, and it's an excellent option for beginning knife makers. And I'm gonna stick to that one. I'm not backing down on that. I think it's a great beginning knife making steel, and I've had great success with it. The very, very first knife I made, it still holds an edge really, really well. It's a great blade. I've skinned deer with that blade. So I completely disagree when people say that it's not a good steel for beginning knife maker. I'm not saying you just clap your hands and it's heat treated, but I'm saying there's a lot of information on it. If you follow those recipes, you're gonna get a good usable blade, and it's not that complicated. Rant over. In the last vlog, I had a dead battery. I think I left the door open because the light was on, so I just charged it up and we're good to go now. Cocobolo. Where is my Cocobolo? Oh, I just got this stuff here. This is a weird resin. Polymer ebony, made in England. So I'm gonna try this stuff for a bolster of a kitchen knife. I think it might be kind of interesting. Where is my Cocobolo? Got some more knives to go to the post office today. All right, so these are today's shipments. I'm gonna go ahead and whip those to the post office. And then when we get back, we'll get back to working on some knives. Over the weekend, it did get really warm. One of the issues is that everything melted and then froze again. Our entire driveway is a solid chunk of ice. Like literally, this is, that's crazy. I can't even get any traction to get going, and it's flat. All right, so I just got back from the post office, and I spent the better part of today shipping stuff. That's one thing that I don't enjoy that much, and it really ate up a lot of my day today, and I haven't had a lot of time in the shop. What I'm gonna do now is, I've mentioned this here block, this polyester ebony, and what I wanna use this for is a bolster. So, I've got a knife right here. This is a 440C, a little, I don't know, Gyuto. I think it's a Gyuto, a K-tip Gyuto. It's got a nice distal taper to it. It's been ground, like this blade is done. It's been heat treated, beautifully straight. Radius, the finger choil there. And what I'm gonna use is a piece of silky oak. This was actually given to me from Rob of True North Micarta. He makes some really great fire hose micarta, and he gave me some samples of some wood that he made some furniture with. So I'll put a link to his Instagram below. Check it out. Great guy. He's making really cool knife scales with fire hose micarta, and he's actually a firefighter, so that's really, really interesting. What I would like to do is take this obviously cylindrical, and it's not gonna work in the state that it's in. So I'm gonna cut just a little bit more than an inch off of here, and I'm gonna start squaring it up in my milling machine, and we'll kind of get the sizes to match, and I think this will look pretty cool. I think this is gonna be a really comfortable little knife, especially with a nice black bolster. Hoping this stuff works. Once I start machining it, I'll know a little bit more about it. I've never tried this stuff before, but let's just give it a shot. I've been asked about this a few times, and this actually isn't my idea. This came with my milling machine, but these milling machines, to loosen off whatever you're putting in there, you've got this little hole right here. Another way you can do it is come up here, put a wrench on here, and then this is the threaded part that actually goes through and pulls the taper up. This here is just, looks like some auto-locking jaw, a real cheap one. But the gentleman that had the milling machine before me, what he did is he just drilled a hole in there, put a pin, and then he put a piece of plastic tubing, and that way you can just grab it on here, and it's kind of like an adjustable spanner that's really, really quick. So I can grab onto there, hold the spindle, and then I just use my nip axe and then loosen off that threaded portion. after messing with this stuff for a bit, I don't think it's gonna work that well. You can see these chunks are coming out of it, and I think this stuff is a little bit too brittle, a little too fragile to use. Now some of these were from machining, which obviously is a more aggressive process, but some of them actually happened when I was just trying to true this up on the grinder as well. So I just don't want to go through all the hassle of putting all this work in, you know, setting this up, and I don't even know if this is going to drill very nicely when I go to drill for the tang, machine that out with my milling machine, and then especially once we start filing that out and using the little this little brooch that I made, I think this thing might wreak havoc on it. So I'm going to kibosh this part of the process for now, and what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to try this, not entirely sure if it's going to work, but I had these set of scales. These are Buckeye Burl, or I don't know if it's Buckeye or there's another B. Anyway, they're really nice. They're dyed, stabilized. Rob's Wildwood on Instagram is where I get them from. He does incredible work. But check this out. I had one hole that kind of went cattywampus on me, and I was just like, oh man. So I was saving these for a project like this, and what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut out a little chunk in the middle right there of each of these, and I'll match these up because you see there's a matching set, and if we do a good job, we should be able to keep relatively close grain in there. And you know, we'll actually measure it so we take out from exactly the middle, and then make sure we orient these properly. But I think this could look really cool because what we'll have is we'll have the burl, and then I've got some purple G10 on there, and I'm gonna put another liner in there. I'm not sure what color yet, either black, maybe white, maybe a blue, and then it'll be purple again, and then the burl again. And I think that would actually look really sharp, especially once it's all polished up, and I think that would end up making a pretty nice looking bolster for that knife. But doing that is going to have to wait till tomorrow. I've got a couple other things I need to finish up in the shop here. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and as always, I thank you so much for watching. Cheers.